Well, good morning, everyone. It's a blessing to spend time with you, and I have met many of you in person, of course, and it's very nice to meet anyone new here today. I live here at Ananda Village, and I started my journey with Ananda and with our guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, at Ananda, Rhode Island. So I started that journey in 2005, and have had the blessing to travel and meet our ever-expanding global Ananda family. And also just to say, Nayaswami Jaya is here with us as well today. I crossed paths with him this morning, and he was sharing how he very much enjoys spending time with Ananda Dallas, and so he's with us today, which after we come on camera, I'm sure Jayaji will have, would like to share a few words and meet some of you. So it's a real joy to spend this time with you, and I'm very inspired for today's satsang. After speaking with Supriya, we arrived at putting a little bit of focus around the Gayatri Mantra. And this is a very, very ancient mantra. This is a part of one of the first Vedas, the Rig Veda. In this Veda, there's 4 Vedas, and the oldest is the Rig Veda. And the Gayatri Mantra is a part of this Rig Veda, which is, one could say, the most ancient of the mantras that we practice in Sanskrit. And so today we're going to explore a little bit of the Gayatri Mantra, but also how does that relate to us on this path of Kriya Yoga as disciples of Paramahansa Yogananda, and what can we draw deeper in this very ancient mantra, and how we can go deeper in our own discipleship and our own spiritual journey of self-offering. So today we're going to begin with chanting the Gayatri Mantra. I'm going to just very, very briefly share a few words, and we're going to then visit each part of this as we journey together. And so the Gayatri Mantra, which is the mantra that we chant every Sunday at Sunday service, it's a part of a Vedic fire ceremony. We also chant the Mahamrityunjaya mantra. So the Gayatri Mantra is that mantra for enlightenment. And the Mahamrityunjaya mantra is that mantra for liberation. And so the Gayatri Mantra is that mantra, in summary, is that we meditate upon the 3 worlds, upon that inner light. And in contemplation of that inner light, in communion with that light, we ask that our intellect, our hearts be united with that source to set us free. And so Mark has put up the words here today. And so I'm going to just very, very briefly share each part here. So Om Bhurabhuvaha Swaha. So this first line here, Om Bhurabhuvaha Swaha, is really the 3 planes of existence. One could say the physical, the astral, the causal. You could also say past, present, and future. That triune nature of this world. But one way that I very much like also to understand this is that you could say that which is bound by space and time, and that which is not. And so we see that we're tuning into that omnipresence. And we, of course, start off with chanting Om. And Om is that all-pervading presence of Divine Mother's love. And it is that portal in which we enter into first, before we can commune with Christ consciousness, as our Guru said. Then the second line, Om Tat Savitur Vanerniam. So this second line here is Om Tat, meaning that, and Savitur, meaning the inner sun, or that source of light, and Vanerniam is that which is supreme, worth our adoration. The third line, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. So Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi is to meditate or to contemplate or attune with that purifying origin, that divine origin. And then Diyo yo naha prachodayat om, this last line, is we affirm that during that grace in our life, we ask through our self-effort, through our self-offering, that we ask, let our intellect, let our will, let our life be in tune with the will of God, the will, the grace of God, so that by this we receive those blessings and that grace through our attunement that sets us free. And so now that we have a little more clarity on each of these lines, let us chant this for just a few minutes together, and we'll chant it with the harmonium. I invite you, of course, as you're learning this perhaps for the first time, you can follow along looking at the screen, but at some point, close the eyes and feel the energy, the vibration of these ancient Sanskrit words, and feel that through chanting this, you're attuning yourself to that inner light at the point between the eyebrows, through the heart yearning for God. Feel the mantra illuminating this inner light ever greater, ever deeper. So let us now chant this together for a few minutes with lots of energy, enthusiasm, concentration. Let's take a moment now and just feel the energy rising from the heart to the point between the eyebrows as you call to God, to Divine Mother, to Guru, reveal thyself, reveal thyself, reveal thyself. With ever increasing fervor in the heart of calling to God. As our Guru said, to give God the third degree of our hearts. Om Shanti, 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 Shanti. And so, friends, this power of the Gayatri Mantra, as our Guru said, give God the third degree of your heart. For so long I've heard Guruji say this in his recorded talk. What does that mean, to give God the third degree of your heart? I thought perhaps there's a missing part of my heart that I was not aware of. But of course, that third degree of the heart is that divine fervor that, just as a police detective interrogates the criminal with that force of energy to the point in which they receive that which they're seeking. We must approach God in this way, as our Guru said, with that divine fervor. And when we increase this fervor, as Yoganandaji said, that every day must be deeper, our longing for God, to renew the self-effort, our devotion in our heart to call to God, then God will come. And so the power in which the Gayatri Mantra is in some way reflecting to us is something that we can practice. And how blessed are we that, as the Gayatri Mantra shows us, that, beyond all the three planes of existence, beyond all creation, beyond everything, lies this omnipresent, this ever-existing, ever-conscious, ever-new bliss, Satchitananda, which is God. And so, as we meditate upon that presence, which happens, of course, within us, and we meditate on that supreme divine origin, that sun, and that sun, of course, is the spiritual eye, to gaze upwards into that inner light. And then as we meditate and contemplate and feel ourselves ever increasingly becoming absorbed in that inner light through ever increasing stillness and calmness of meditation, as we contemplate and we commune with that light begins to purify us. It sets us free from all delusion, all darkness. And in the Guru comes to the devotee. As Guruji said, that the Guru comes when God knows that the devotee is ready. Ready for what? Ready for self-improvement? Yes. Ready for deeper understanding? Yes. But books can give you understanding. Self-help books can provide you self-improvement. But God sends the guru when he knows the devotee is ready for freedom, ready for enlightenment. And so, all of us who are here today, if you're new, you're seeking, you're learning from this path, learning the presence of the guru. The guru comes. The guru means dispeller of darkness. It represents that guide for all of us, that the guru comes to set us free, to be that friend, that divine friend, to help us until we get to our goal. And so then the Gayatri Mantra says that once we dedicate ourselves to this practice, then, of course, the more we attune to that source and ask that source for guidance, the more that source will free us. Now, how can we apply this to our life? The Gayatri Mantra is showing us that, as we attune to this inner light, and as we offer ourselves in that light, we're offering, of course, that aspect of ourself that is ego, which is, of course, that identification with body, with mind. And how do we offer this? Of course, we offer it through our practice of Kriya, meditation, service to others. One could say through all the paths of yoga, of karma yoga, jnana yoga, all of these things. But also one could say that we offer ourselves, as also reflected in the Gayatri Mantra, is through our choices. Through our choices that we choose every moment. Is our energy flowing upwards to commune with that light, to offer ourselves in that light for guidance, for purification? Or is our energy going down and further becoming enmeshed in that duality? And so through our choices comes this ability to offer ourselves. Now, the first Om Bhurbu Vahaswaha, this first line in the Gayatri Mantra, one could say, I was reflecting on this, and just taking past, present, and future, what is one thread that colors these three, the presence of the past, present, and future? One thing that sort of makes them up, that colors them. Well, one thing I thought of is choices. Isn't it so that our choices in the past affect what's happening now? And of course, we know that through our Guru's teachings that what we do today affects our tomorrow. And through our choices, we begin to have that power to shape in some way our life or cooperate with that divine plan. I was recently watching a video of Swami Kriyananda who reminded me of a very powerful prayer that Yogananda gave to us. And I invite all of you to embrace this, perhaps this first line of the Gayatri Mantra, is to practice this prayer that Yogananda said before you act. He said you can pray that, Lord, I will reason, will, and act, but guide thou my reason, will, and activity to the right path in everything. I will reason, will, and act, but guide thou my reason, will, and activity to the right path in everything. So this prayer is saying that, as we attune of realizing the power of our choices, we can either be more in tune with that divine origin, or we can still be hypnotized by this world of duality. Now, a question I have for all of you to reflect on is, how many choices do you think you make each day? I was reflecting on this, and it's something that I haven't arrived at. How many choices do I make each day? Now, of course, one could say that, as Swami Kriyananda said, that, we're really only choosing either moving toward God or away from God. But how many little choices do we make each day, small ones or large ones? I don't know. I'll leave that for you to just reflect on. How many choices do you make each day? Well, I hope you don't arrive at too large of a number, but I think that we make a lot of choices each day. Now imagine this. Imagine if you just review how many choices you make each day. Notice when you have to make a choice, whether it's deciding what to eat for food, where to go on your free time, all of these things. Imagine before you make a choice each day that you offer this prayer. Lord, I will reason, will, and act, but guide thou my reason, will, and activity to the right path in what I'm about to do. Imagine that. This is a small step of embracing this ancient invitation for us to step deeper in that flow of God's will, which is ultimately interested in only one thing, which is our freedom. Now, the other thing that's helpful to know is, wow, time is going by quick. The other thing to know, I wanted to read to you this quote from the Bhagavad-Gita, is that when we are choosing to commune in that light, to offer ourselves in faith, in trusting the guidance of this grace, this light, to know that God is our friend, the Guru is our friend. And in the Bhagavad-Gita, this lovely stanza, Krishna tells Arjuna, "Today I have taught you, my devotee, my friend, the ancient science of yoga, the secret to the highest blessing for mankind." And Swami Kriyananda expands upon this and says, "It is a thought wondrous to contemplate. As the devotee advances spiritually, he is accepted by the Lord himself, not only as a devotee, but as a friend. The relationship with God as friend is in some ways the sweetest. For even the thought of God as mother, which many consider the sweetest of all relationships, carries a hint of the human presumption that God must take care of us and pardon all of our sins. As Yogananda taught people to pray, 'Mother, naughty or good, I am thy child. You must release me.' When one is advanced enough, however, to think of God as friend, there steals into the heart that sweet confidence by which one feels, 'But of course, you love me. I am yours. You are mine. How could either of us ever turn away from each other? We are one.' And so as we offer ourselves through our choices and trusting and feeling that divine friendship with God, with the Guru, then you'll find that your will be guided. The choices you make will lead you to ever greater expansion. And the other here that I'd like to just touch upon briefly is Om Tat Savitur Varenyam. So this next piece of the Gayatri Mantra is that, that source of light within us, that which deserves adoration, that which we commune with, that light. One of the things I was reflecting on in the Gayatri Mantra is, of course, we have Kriya Yoga. And in some way one can say that the Gayatri Mantra, you could feel that the Gayatri Mantra is happening through Kriya, isn't it? Because in the Gayatri Mantra, which the ancient thread ceremony in India, which initiates individuals in the Brahman order as Brahmins, the Brahmin caste rather, and as a Brahman, you go through this ancient thread ceremony. And what happens in the ancient thread ceremony is that you're initiated into the Gayatri Mantra. And in the Gayatri Mantra, you're asked to practice the Gayatri Mantra regularly, every day, so that you create that anchor point in your life. And your relationship to God becomes clear that I am no longer seeking the desires and my attachments in this world, but I am remaining steadfast in my search for Thee. Every day, practicing Gayatri Mantra. And a part of the ceremony is that you offer water to the sun, symbolic of offering that your life force, the prana, to that sun that the Gayatri Mantra is referencing. But of course, we practice that inwardly. And through Kriya Yoga, if what you have right now is the Hung Sa technique, as you focus at the point between the eyebrows to that inner light, we're offering that prana, we're offering our life force up to that light, offering it for guidance, offering it for purification. And the more you work with the pranayama exercises, as you work with your Kriya practice, feel that your every Kriya, or your every practice of Hung Sa, is that you're offering yourself in that inner light, with that sweetness of asking the Divine Friend, free me from delusion. I want only thee, reveal thyself. And then moving on to Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. This other part of this is beautiful, where, we're drawing that grace in our life. We are asking for that guidance through our attunement and communing with that light. And the more we commune with that light, the more we become that light. And again, one of my favorite quotes from Paramahansa Yogananda is that the more sugar you put in water, the sweeter it becomes. So the more you spend time in meditation, sadhana, your sadhana is that anchor point that you practice daily. And as you keep that appointment with God, as Yogananda said, then the more you're able to commune with that light, because you get to know that light more. You begin to feel that light growing within you. And attuning to that light becomes easier, because how do you attune to something that you do not know? Meditation helps us get to know God. It helps us to understand this sweet relationship that we always had and we always will have with God, with Divine Mother, with the Guru. And this last part here is Diyo yo naha prachodayat om. And this is that asking, saying, no longer am I traveling through my life alone. I seek thy guidance for purification. Attune my will, attune my life according to thy design. And one of the things here for all of us, I thought, how can we relate to this part of the Gayatri Mantra? Of course, discipleship. And I'll close with just sharing a few words on this. I'd like to read to you just one little section of the Discipleship Vow. And if you haven't taken discipleship, I invite you to listen to these words and to attune to the power of them. So I invite you to close your eyes. And these, I think, are some of the most beautiful words, the most beautiful message that I think for all of us to keep close to our heart as we seek God. And so in the Discipleship Vow, these words, this prayer: Divine Mother, I come before thee today, having long sought thy eternal light, long pondered the eternal truths, long followed the winding path that leads to thee. I have walked with my own strength all too seldom with thine. I have walked with the thought, I want this from life, these answers, that guidance, this pathway or that. But I have seen that as often as I have made claims on life, it eluded me. As often as I presumed on thy will, it turned away from me. Ah, too long, Mother, have I sought thee for myself, and not for thy love. I know now that without thy strength added to mine, infusing it, I shall never find thee. With loving faith, thine is the power, the grace, the infinite glory. With loving faith now I seek thee. Through the ray of thy light that thou hast offered me, I will ascend to thee not by my power alone, but by the power of thy infinite love. I am thine, Mother, be thou eternally mine. And so, the more we recognize this, that we need the help of God, we need the help of the Guru, and all we have to do is ask. And try, when everything else becomes complicated in your life, remember attunement. Attunement as you seek and deepening your attunement with the Guru, with God, the more that all of these things that have caused darkness, that have caused problems in your life, you'll find all of that dissipating, because as you're tuned to that light begins to illuminate, and as the darkness will disappear, and all there will be is light. And so the last thing I wanted to share with you is something very beautiful, that on Christmas we had a satsang with Jyotish and Devi ji, and Devi shared something very beautiful and personal that I wanted to share with you all. Is she shared that in that morning meditation on Christmas morning, she came before Master and was praying to him, and was recognized that all her life she's come to the feet of Guruji and has asked for his help, asked for his guidance, asked him for this or that, or to take away this or that, or all of these things. And she recognized that, Guruji, no longer do I want to come before thee and ask of you anything, but rather I want to come to you and only want to give to you. And so as we embrace the spirit of the Gayatri Mantra, seek to offer yourself more through your attunement with your choices, through deepening your sadhana, through embracing every moment discipleship. As Swami Kriyananda, who started all of these communities, spread Master's work so powerfully, so in such a colossal way in this life, through books and music and all of these things. But all he said was, I want to be known as a good disciple. And so that simplicity, that humility, and that self-offering to that light, to the Guru, for guidance, you will find that your life will become shaped by the Guru, by God, and you will be free in this life. So I wish you many blessings, that you feel that light illuminating your heart ever greater every day. And don't forget God in every little thing and big thing, and he will be near. So wish you many blessings and our Guru's blessings. And I'd like to pass the baton to Supriya for guidance of what's happening next.
Well, first, we're vibrating in these beautiful words of, yes, the Gayatri Mantra, but in the beauty and the blessing that we have as disciples. And thank you for tying all that together, and the greatness of what we've been offered and what we have accepted and responded to be disciples, to find God through this line of Kriya Masters is just incredible. So the vibration is just very beautiful, hearing it again and again and again until at last we are self-realized. And we're so blessed here and to come together often to remind each other, if not in words, just in meditating together. The power of that is so beautiful. So thank you, Jitendra ji, for your words and for coming online. And we do now want to open this up. Before we do that, I would just like to say, if Nayaswami Jaya ji is still with us, I would love for him to open his camera first, maybe put him on the spot and just say hi to us, because he's been here many times for Kriya initiations and workshops over many years. So there he is. Let's give him just a minute or two, and then we'll all open cameras.
Hello, everybody. I saw Jitendra this morning. I'm here at the office, and I was coming to just check in on some of the events that are going on in India right now, and sometimes actually I like to come to the office and tune into Sunday services and at the different centers. And so I saw Jitendra, and he said he was doing this satsang this morning, and I asked him, I says, well, what's your topic? And he said the Gayatri, and I says, oh, really? I let me tune in. Send me the because it's related because of my service in India, and so I said, oh, I'll do Sunday service here with you guys, and so anyway, I told them, oh, I'll say hi, and I want to say hi to everybody, and send you my regards and best wishes, and here we all are enduring, that very unusual times, but I feel in a sense that we're facing what we have to face here and doing what we have to do in an appropriate way. We're doing it together, and I think that's, and that's the power of satsang and coming together on Sunday morning in one way or the other, one location or another. I think it has that power. So welcome, or hello, I guess is the better word, to everybody from Ananda Village right now. And thank you, Jitendra, also for very nice reminder. This Gayatri Mantra is maybe foreign. Obviously in our culture here in the USA, it's a bit foreign, but in India, it's a very, as you said, it goes back to Rig Veda, in thousands of years, and it's still very, very much active or prevalent today. I mean, you can even get a ringtone with the Gayatri Mantra on your mobile. You hear it every once in a while, and it's somebody's phone going off. Yeah, but it's a powerful, beautiful thing, and it's that I think the point you made there that emphasizes, yes, it's from ancient times, but even somebody once asked Master the question. He says, "What is the spiritual eye a symbol of the sun?" And Master said, no, it's the sun is the symbol of the spiritual eye. The spiritual eye is the reality. The sun is merely a symbol. And of course, this is understood, in the ancient times, in the Vedas and the scriptures in Vedic. But Westerners, they sometimes think, oh, they're worshiping the sun. No, it's not that at all. It's they're worshiping that which the sun represents. It's a symbol for something, and a spiritual eye, or the cosmic reality, is also, the common man might think of it in that way. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. And I know we have quite a few other people who are on for the first time, and we'd love to see you, for you to say hi. But let's also, everyone, any questions for Jitendra, comments, Gayatri, discipleship, Guruji, this is our opportunity. And let's feel free to open cameras at any time now. If the cameras are open, just stay still. If you need to move around, I'd appreciate it if we'll kind of close them down. But let's first give opportunity for some of the people that have never been online with us before we all, because the rest of us talk a lot, as we know. Anybody? I don't want to call out names, but I see some people in California on with us that we've never had on. Anybody want to say anything before the Texas group gets going?
I want to say hello to Pam and Sam. It's been many years.
Yeah, they join us quite regularly. We consider our sanghas sister sanghas, and we do programs together, and it's been a real blessing to have that additional support that we offer each other as similar centers and communities. So it's great. We love having them. Jai, it's great to see you too, and we would love to have you come back again. So,
what was it, 20 years ago last time, or 30 maybe? I don't remember.
No, it wasn't that long ago, but I mean back virtually.
Virtually, right.
Virtually. But no.
But you'll see that invitation soon, because we're booking now for March and April. So we have people like Asha and Kirtani and Anand coming on, and Panduranga, and it's so beautiful the way this has developed for Sunday services, and people really seem to
that
enjoy
is one positive. That's one positive that's happened to all of this, is we've been online, it's stimulated that connectivity that way.
Yeah. And Jitendra, my question for you is if you would, when you get a moment, why is it echoing?
Yeah,
Anyway.
big echo right now.
If you could put in the chat box the chords that you used for the Gayatri, I'd really appreciate it.
Sure. I'm not sure. I'm one of those musicians that are not aware of what I'm doing. I just feel it. So, but I can surely type in what keys
Sure.
I use. Yeah. Yeah, I'd be happy to. It's very nice to see you all, and Pam and Sam and Mallory and Maitri, Alex, Mark. You know, one thing that I recently discovered also about this process of what you're talking about is that we engage with so many things each day, you know, with making choices, or in some way we're exchanging energy with this world around us so much every day. And I recently just took a 1 week seclusion up at the meditation retreat here at Ananda Village. And as I was in seclusion, I simplified my life down to, I had even prepared a little bit of food beforehand, so I didn't even need to cook. So there was nothing I needed to do to engage in, except, of course, trying to keep my mind on God, to meditate and feel that I'm in that flow of divine grace. And after a couple of days in seclusion, I remembered the words of our guru who said in one of his talks that it's very difficult to keep your mind on God, isn't it? And it is, even in seclusion, when everything gets put aside, when you're not dealing with attachments, or because you're locked into a space where there's no distraction at all. Even then, it's challenging to keep your mind on God. So I find it so helpful that when we do need to engage in the world with all of these things, to in some way, I find that it can be easier to keep your mind on God when you're engaging in things, if you keep the company of the guru, or if you keep the company of God as your friend by your side when you're doing things. Because I find that, you know, there's a flow of energy there that, you know, you are acting. And so with energy moving, I find that if you really tune in to say, you know, be with me when I'm about to do this, then there is a flow of energy that you can feel, the sort of the liveliness of God. And I think it starts with just that first moment that you catch it, to say, I'm going to go shopping, you know, and then your shopping experience changes. If you can, at that moment before the energy moves in the direction, I find that it really helps. And here at Ananda Village, you know, we live about a half hour from town. And it's a practice that before we pull out of Ananda Village, many of us stop at the stop sign and we pray before we enter the main road and leave. And I've been doing this since I've come here in 2014. And I feel that is something that is so helpful at the very moment before you decide, I'm going shopping or I'm going to do this or that. That's the moment to stop and say, let this experience, what I need to do, not be really the ultimate goal, but rather to have you as my friend, as my channel of what's to come. So I just, catching it at that moment before you enter into that sort of that portal of activity, it just changes the experience where, you know, the lens in which you see things and your feelings, they do change. So it's that simple act, I think, it's fun to experiment with.
And I use Post-it notes if I forget. Like I had a Post-it note in my car for a long time that said, pray before backing out of garage. And now I don't need the Post-it note anymore. Like you say, you come to the stop sign, you pray. Well, now I get in the car, pause after I close the door, say the prayer before backing out, and then hopefully remember to put the garage door up before I back out. So Guruji, it's so fun. I'd love to, I want to hear from somebody else. You know, when we see and feel and remember that Guruji is our companion in everything we do. All we have to do is remember it. So who else wants to comment, add something, or ask a question?
Actually, good morning, everybody. This is Sam, sitting in the central coast of sunny California. I wanted to make a comment about the Gayatri Mantra. About two years ago, I think it was our last peace tea. I used to sponsor what we call the peace tea here in our community. And that last one that we did was all centered around the Gayatri Mantra. This was the time of year when we would do the peace tea. It was usually on Martin Luther King weekend, that time frame just before the inaugurations. A lot of this stuff. And I spent a couple of months researching the Gayatri Mantra. I was amazed, and I'm sure Jaya's probably heard this, and probably Jitendra too, how many different versions of the Gayatri Mantra there are. I was really blown away by seeing almost a rock and roll band with electric guitars, drums, people on the stage, flailing about, doing the Gayatri Mantra. And I went, oh my Lord, what good is this? And I went, Yeah. It was divine going to their point and give them a taste of the Gayatri Mantra. Give them the taste of this. And then slowly drawing them in until we get to the version that we use regularly with that Swami gave us, and Master gave us. There are so many versions of it. I remember the first version of the Gayatri Mantra that I personally heard was done by the American Sanskrit Society. I think it was the American Sanskrit Society. I listened to that constantly. I had a cassette tape. I wore it out.
Cassette.
I had a very monotonous job. My employment at one point in time was so monotonous that I was going crazy. I would put in my headphones with the Gayatri Mantra going. Then I'd have to wear earmuffs over the top of it because what I was doing was very loud. And I could spend hours doing this monotonous job without hearing anything but the Gayatri Mantra, the Gayatri Mantra, the Gayatri Mantra. And and I could feel myself, every time it looped through, I could feel myself going, okay, God, you got me. You got me, God, you got me. And then I remember hearing David Premal and Matan do the Gayatri Mantra, and I says, that's so angelic. And I would just loved to listen to it. And I would sing along with it. We would go to their concerts and they would do the Gayatri Mantra. And there would be 1,200, 1,500 people in the audience all singing the Gayatri Mantra. And that really bore a hole in the heart. But when I heard Swami's recording of Gayatri Mantra the first time back in the early 90s, I went, is this how it's really supposed to be done? And I went, yeah, I think so. Because it drew everything out. It just was perfect in my mind. Do I do the other ways? Well, I don't do the rock and roll. You won't see me pick up my guitar and do a rock out on the Gayatri Mantra. But you will hear me do Gayatri Mantra by, I kind of copy other people. But most of the time I just revert back to Master and Swamiji. That's just my little tidbit of the Gayatri Mantra. Thank you, and thank you, Jitendra, and thank you, Jaya, and thank you, Ananda, Texas, for allowing us to be part of your family.
Oh, you Californians, you're welcome, always. So who else? Question, comments? just saying hi, turn on cameras. I'm wondering if it's time to take us off of Facebook. What do y'all think? Because I know when we take us off of Facebook, more cameras open up. So I'll leave that to Mark's decision.
Just
Yep.
explain to them though about Facebook before you take them off, so that people understand, because I think they're not.
Well, I want to mention that we had a fire ceremony, a virtual fire ceremony, and did the Gayatri and the other mantra, and I was amazed at how powerful it was, even virtually. Just
for those of us, and Mallory, you were one of them who came most Sundays. And we did it, of course, live. We had that blessing to have the purification ceremony for quite a few years. And then we all missed it so much. So we did one virtually. And because of comments of many people and input, we do hope to offer it. Not every Sunday, but we're working on having both Gayatri and Mahamrityunjaya and the fire ceremony more often. So thank you for saying that. Even virtually, I agree. It can be very powerful. So we are off of Facebook now. So cameras, open up, wave to each other, and keep talking.
Well, yeah, what Mike explained was that if we are on Facebook and you don't actually come on and say something, then you won't be streaming on Facebook. So just to clarify that. I did Sam's comments about the many multitudinous versions of the Gayatri Mantra does bring up a question, because I've heard people say this, that you lose the power of the mantra, or you're not doing it right if you don't do it a certain way, and it seems like everybody has a different way of doing it. So I'm wondering, just for Jitendra or Jaya, the one, what's your take on that?
The Gayatri Mantra, if it is interesting. If you're not familiar with it, you can probably go on YouTube and find many different varieties of it. It's the mantra itself. The words don't change, but we're really referring here to the tune. And I admit some of those tunes are pretty catchy. And then once you get them, and I warn you, because once you get them in your brain, it's like, how it is when some old song from when you were 20 years old or a teenager, you can't get rid of it if you start. And it's sort of like that. But the other side of that is, of course, if you get a tune that is positively interiorizes the mind, well, then that's a good thing, because it can help you in that way, just the repetitiveness of it. And I think you have to feel you have some discretion in feeling what the vibration is and the way Swami recorded that, it has a very inward directing vibration that helps to pull the mind inward. And of course, as the mind goes inward and then ultimately upward, if we attune to that, it's not really proper to say that there's any one correct absolute way to do it. You have to, the proof is in the pudding, you might say, of going. But some of those, if you take a version that has been passed down through a high tradition, you're more likely to get, and the reason it's been passed down and sustained over a long period of time is because it has a certain power. And the Gayatri Mantra does have a power to it. And I remember many years ago, there was a person that Swami knew. He invited to Ananda Village, probably been back 1970 or so. And this man was talking about the power of mantra. And he gave a lot of different examples of how he was an Indian fellow from Bengal, and he was giving lots of stories and examples from his own life that he had these miraculous, and he was saying one story was that as a boy, there was a festival in his village in rural part of Bengal where every every year they would build this very big fire. It was a fire ceremony, but Maha fire ceremony in this case, where they were honoring certain deities, and every year a boy was chosen out of the village to basically go up to the fire and make the offerings. Now this was a bonfire; it wasn't just a little fire. You were right up to the fire and put things right in the fire, and it was unapproachable for a normal person. But the boy would be given a mantra, and this fellow who was telling this story, he was that boy in 1 year as a young man. He's actually a boy, probably 10 years old or something. And the priest took him and did a ceremony around him and had him repeat the mantra in a certain way. But he had to repeat it in exactly the same way, the right way. And when this time came, he repeated the mantra, and he said he was able to make these offerings into the fire, and he said he felt nothing. He was totally impervious, you might say, the effects of the fire. I thought, wow, that's really interesting. And then he went on in this way, and then at one point during his satsang, he said, there's different ways to say the Gayatri Mantra, and he was making this point that there are many different ways to do it, and the way you do it conveyed certain power if you were on a very, very high level. Now we're speaking here not for the average person. He says, and the way you say it does have a certain effect and can. So he was saying it's a sacred mantra, is what he was saying, and we want to approach the mantra in a sacred way. And so consequently, although I mentioned it's on the ringtone, and you could probably go, to rock concerts and dance to it, that's really probably not a sacred way to approach it. But I'm not, I don't want to be a judge of these things. The ringtone, I thought, well, at least people are getting it memorized. That's good. And it probably, I think it's probably in the heart more than anything. But if we approach it with sacredness, and so he was going on this way, and so anyway, he says, he wanted to demonstrate the Gayatri Mantra, and he repeated the mantra. He says, I want you all now to meditate very deeply and get very quiet, and so on and so forth. And he repeated the mantra, boom, in a certain way, and I can't remember how he did this because this was 45 years ago at least, and I was sitting there very quietly, and I had my eyes open. As he repeated that mantra, I felt my mental this was in the old dome that was before the existing one at the meditation retreat. I felt as if as he said that mantra, I felt as if I had lifted up off the ground about 15 feet and was looking down at everybody from above. It's like my consciousness had went up, and then when he finished, I came back down, and I thought, whoa, what was that? And then he went on, and now I thought about it. I thought, well, if I could repeat that, and maybe he had certain abilities, I don't know. But there was I felt what I later come to understand is that repetition of a mantra in a certain way can inwardly, it was probably what was happening, is my inward consciousness was rising up. It raised my consciousness and went back down, of course. And I think that's why we want to judge a mantra by the effect it has on our consciousness. And so you test. You can try the rock and roll version, and you could try the ringtone version, but Swami's version has an interiorizing effect, is what I find. It draws us inward, and it has that quality to it. And as you know, it's inward and upward is what we're trying to do. And so choose one and then repeat that. Stick to one is better, I think, because then it implants it in your consciousness, and then find one. And I recommend, of course, the one we do. But if you, it's not to say that's the only one, but it has to. What we choose should be uplifting, and I find it attunes me to Swami's, because I remember him when I repeat that one. So anyway, I hope that's a little helpful.
Thank you, Jaya. Yeah, I just to add my own story here a little bit. About 9 years ago, since I worked for a telecom company which is unionized, I was called on to go up to New York State and become a telephone technician. So I was, driving around in a truck and climbing telephone poles and fixing people's telephones. But the whole situation, since we were replacement workers for strikers, was very contentious. You had to cross the picket line every morning, and sometimes you'd have people following you and harassing you when you were trying to do your job and everything. And I found that in the mornings when I'd get up and I would try to meditate, I had a beautiful view out my window of the sunrise and everything. So it was just perfect in that way. But I was just so keyed up from what might happen during the day, and that I just found it so difficult to meditate that I couldn't keep my mind on my meditation for more than 30 seconds. It seemed like before it would go off in this fear or that trepidation and what I started doing was I had Swami's mantra CD, and I just chanted the Gayatri for half an hour every morning. And I found that really, I didn't feel myself floating, but but I did get to a place where I felt peaceful enough and calm enough to walk out the door and face the day. So it was a real godsend.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that story, Mark. And one thing that just to say, you can actually three things. One, I think that attuning, as Jaya was saying, there's lots that you can explore. But if you're interested in, attuning to the mantra, I would recommend to start at the very least in the version that Swami has provided for all of us. So you can get a recording actually of Swamiji chanting the Gayatri Mantra, and it's like an hour long. So it's a very beautiful way if you wish to learn more about the Gayatri through your own experience. But also, as Jaya said, it's not that the focus is for our path, the focus isn't Gayatri Mantra. We're not being initiated into the Gayatri Mantra, but if it can help our attunement to Master, strengthen our attunement to our path, then listening to the recording from Swamiji really does help me attune to Swamiji. And for those who did not have the opportunity to meet Swami, I think as you tune into these things, it really helps also bring Swamiji's presence more alive and as a divine friend and guide to help us get closer to our Guru. And so you can, Crystal Clarity has that, which you can purchase. And there also, I sent a link to Supriya that maybe Supriya you can share with everyone. It's a link that Ananda.org just released actually, just a few days ago, which I thought was quite perfect timing. This video of Swamiji chanting the Gayatri Mantra, and I believe also the Mahamrityunjaya, but at least I know the Gayatri Mantra with the words. And there's a beautiful video of a flame, and so this is something that I would also recommend, is to tune into that if you wish to go a little deeper in that. And the last thing is, if you wish to learn more about the Gayatri Mantra, because the origin of the Gayatri Mantra, it's a long story, which if we had more time, I could share a little bit more on that, is Murali, who just recently, a part of Spiritual Renewal Week a year ago or two, recorded, or it was within the past few years, recorded this really wonderful video of the story of the origin of the Gayatri Mantra, which is on YouTube. and also you can find it on ananda.org under videos. So that's something if you wish to learn in context more of the creation of this mantra, it's a wonderful video to tune into.
Hello, Jitendra.
Want to say thank you all. It's time for Pam and I to move back to California to get ready for our Sunday service. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. And I think Hugh is ready to say something or speak.
Yes, I wanted to share something. I want to say hello to Jitendra, virtual hug, and Jaya too. It's been a while since living discipleship. I saw him out there in the summer. But just a brief contribution or personal experience, the way I use the Gayatri Mantra in my written Jaya. I live on the country, and it takes me about 7, 8, 9 minutes to get out into a major highway. And I say it every day when I leave the house. I mean, and we do our prayers, we have our rituals, like you were saying. And I say the Gayatri Mantra and the Jaya. And keeping in mind Swamiji's voice and the way we would say it every Sunday service, because that's where our heart is, right? In Ananda Dallas, the way we would say it. And so it allows me to tune into the day, like you're saying, because oftentimes, and like Mark was saying, or Sam, a lot of the work we do out here and tends to be monotonous, repetitive, the same thing over and over again. So it's important to get into that mindset before you even get into the front door of your workplace and already be flowing with that grace from the masters and our guru to everything we do each day. But that was just my little personal sharing of how I use the mantra. But I wanted to remind everybody that when talking about this in attunement, it reminded me of a chapter from the Yugas book, Selby and Steinmetz. It's chapter 13, Descending Treta Yuga, the Vedas, where they talk about mantras. The Sanskrit meaning is mind tool. And just to briefly recall, Treta Yuga was 6700 BC to 3100 BC. I mentioned that because in this little chapter, and I only read very few words, but I think you will love this. It's called Use of Mantras. And the authors say, it appears that the mantras, the mind tools of the Rig Veda, were used to enable Tetra Yuga man to achieve temporarily and approximately the deep states of attunement to spirit, natural to man in Satya Yuga. The Vedas could be seen as a toolkit for gaining attunement with spirit naturally enjoyed by Satya Yuga man. Because once attunement to spirit was achieved by a concentrated mental focus, then miraculous abilities, the primary way Satya Yuga man met his needs, followed naturally. And the mantras allowed Tetra Yuga man to temporarily mimic and approximate the awareness and capabilities of Satya Yuga man. And in our case, being all the way down, I mean, past Tetra Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga, descending, and then Kali Yuga ascending, and now Dwapara Yuga ascending, I just find it, what an incredible blessing. I mean, that we still have this mind tool to approximate and contact spirit. And so I just wanted to share that with everybody, because you're the only people throughout the week that would understand what I'm trying to communicate right now. And I'm very blessed to be a part of this Sangha and my Guru Bhai. So thank you very much. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Thank you, Hugh. Only because we are getting very close to probably ending this. Wow, it's later than I had imagined, but it's wonderful. And the snow is still falling. I just looked outside. Anybody else want to open cameras, say hi, or questions or comments? But even just to say hi, because we will be leaving soon, I believe. Come on, people. Jaya, you're still in the village, right? Oh, you're in the office. That's right.
Yep, I'm here.
That's right. You're in the village. So we would love to have you come on in March for this, like Jitendra is.
Let's exchange some emails and we'll see what we can do.
Thy will be done. It will happen. Thank you. There's Alex up in Minnesota. We're so excited. There's some snowflakes. Are you surrounded in snow, Alex? How are you doing up there?
We had fog, and then it froze really hard. So we have like that, what they call a horror frost. And so all of the trees and everything is just white with snow. So it's very pretty. Yeah.
Ah. Well, next time be outside and come on so we can see it in 0 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah, we're at 9 today, so
No.
not excited to be going outside.
Single digits. Wow.
Well, Alex has an interesting comment in the chat that I don't know how many people have tuned into that, but I don't know, Alex, do you want to say any more about that?
I don't know. The whole thing of moving your energy up and down your spine, it's just like how you move electricity through a wire. You create magnetism the more energy you're flowing up the spine, and so when you tone out a mantra, then that tone with the magnetism creates like a torus field. And so the reason why I think that the bull is sacred in India is because that's the torus. Torus means bull. I mean, it's a lower, more physical definition, but so when you affect the magnetic fields, you kind of get out of the rules. Your gravity doesn't matter anymore, and all these other physical laws don't really apply. When the magnetism is changed, everything changes. So I don't know. I think you have to be magnetized for the mantras to work, and then I think that the mantras carry the magnetism. So, like how you did it today, singing it, I don't know, I didn't feel like there was the right magnetism, but that's not the version that I usually listen to. So maybe it's just personal preference.
You weren't magnetized to that version.
Yeah, maybe.
On the other hand, I found it very deep, and that's why I asked for those chords too, because I don't know why those chords. I think partially because I'm, such a bhakti, tuned into the vibration of music and whatnot. The chords helped me focus in a different way, and just took me into, it was real deep for me. But we're all different, we're all gonna resonate in different ways and be magnetized in different ways.
It was a lovely song. It was very inspirational.
So we have this big echo happening again. Do we know why echo's happening? And for me, I just want to say Swami chanting them is what somehow takes me and goes, and I don't think this, but I know this, that he was so much in tune with his guru, also many of our guru, that Swami was, like one with the guru. Like he didn't, where does Swami, especially in the end of his life, where is there Swami Kriyananda or Yogananda, or, or they're just so in tune. And so when I hear Swami's voice and that resonance, that electromagnetic feel for me, just it takes me there. And maybe it's because of habit, and I've done it for so many years, but I am so grateful because that's what really pulls me in. Anybody else?
Well, one thing I just wanted to say, thank you, Alex, for sharing. I think that if we had more time, there was much more that I wanted to try to share, but what I wanted to also invite all of us to also consider based on today's satsang is drawing a deeper relationship to our Hung Sa practice. Because we were talking a lot about the Gayatri Mantra. It sounds like a lot of us have felt and experienced vibrationally, as you mentioned, Alex, that, we are tuning into a vibration. And of course, we're trying to tune into that divine vibration. And, I've been really working the past 6 months on trying to deepen my Hong Sa practice. And one of the things I think that, I feel could be a challenge for us is, the Gayatri Mantra, we can sing it, and there's this rhythm and this cadence. And, as Jayaji was sharing on, there's certain, the words are the same, but there's a certain relationship that you develop with the mantra according to perhaps your guru or whatever it is. But we have the Hong Sa practice, and something that, is important to remember, that our guru said that one of India's the greatest contribution to the world is Hong Sa. That's a very powerful statement. So what I find when we chant the Gayatri Mantra, the Mahamrityunjaya Mantra on Sunday, is that when I practice Hong Sa now, we're essentially trying to do the same thing with this Bij mantra. It's not just a mental exercise, but we're also trying to tune into that vibration of the mantra that is becoming awakened through attuning to the movement of life force within us, which emanates this sound of Hong Sa. So when you practice Hong Sa, just try to perhaps take that which you have felt from chanting Gayatri Mantra and just try to feel that you, in the same way when you practice Hong Sa, that you're also focusing on trying to feel the vibration of this mantra moving as the breath is flowing within you. Because Hong Sa really is a tremendous opportunity for us to spend more time in developing a relationship to that mantra that really we practice daily. So just wanted to invite you all to draw on what we spoke about today and apply that also to our Hong Sa practice.
Okay, folks, getting ready to round this up. As we say in Texas, let's round it up. Anybody want to say hi to everybody else who hasn't spoken? Sonia, I saw you had your microphone unmuted a little while ago. Did you want to say something?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I unmuted again because you said there was echo. Hi, everyone.
It's good to see you, Sonia.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, Sonia.
Maybe I can share something about mantras. Just a short personal story. I really believe that mantras has a very strong vibration. Like 10, 12 years ago, my father passed away, and I was there with him on that moment. And I sang a mantra. I don't remember now which one. It was a popular one, but I don't remember. And, in that moment, in that transition, I think that singing the mantra was helpful for him and for me, just to this, I don't know how to say in English, but it was kind of, it had some beauty in that present moment. I just wanted to share that with you.
That's our very devotional devotee in Houston, Texas. Thank you, Sonia. You said it perfectly. The beauty of the vibration of a mantra,
Thank you.
Thank you, sweetie.
Nice to see you, Linda.
Yeah, there's Linda. You're muted.
Been a few years, I think, before we saw each other.
Online a few times. And thanks so much for spending your time with us. It's always a pleasure.
Yep. And we'll just say thank you to everyone for gathering, for coming together.
Can we close like with an om or something, just some way to have a closure or prayer or something?
Yeah, Jitendra, would you lead us in that?
Sure, I'd love to. Great idea. So let's attune to Om, and as we chant Om for just a few moments, try to feel that we're becoming infused in the presence of Om before we then pray for those who are in need. So feel yourself submerged in eternal light, permeating every particle of your being. Feel you're living in that light, that divine spirit filling you within and without as we chant Om for a few moments. Feel Om within and all around you. As we take a moment, let's bring our palms together over the heart. Let's visualize this world bathed in eternal light, seeing the light of the Masters and Divine Mother surrounding all of those who are in need at this time, those who are suffering, that in every heart they feel that hope and that invitation to awaken to their true potential. And let's visualize Divine Mother's love bathing all minds, all hearts, all souls. And let's rub our hands together and we'll chant the sound of Om 3 times. Feel this vibration flowing through you of divine love, compassion, and deep, deep care. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So thank you all. It's such a lovely treat to this heart to spend time with all of you. And I wish you just that this year you be, bathed in this light, that you feel bathed in the light. So it's a great potential ahead of us this year. And what I can do is I haven't entered in the chat box the notes, but I'll do that as soon as we say goodbye. I'll quickly enter that in the chat box. If you're interested in what notes I played, you can just wait a moment and I'll enter that in the chat box. So